If not, I got to wait like 5 days. So I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. If I just took care of this when it was, timely, maybe all of this would have happened, but at least I'd be ahead of schedule. I wouldn't be where I'm at now in this absolutely nuts week having to juggle this as well.
You cannot achieve something if you're not putting in the reps. And if you're constantly procrastinating, you're not going to make any progress. And I think that what's important to understand here, there's no one on earth who doesn't procrastinate.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1118, The Importance of Patient Persistence. Today, for episode number 1119, happy Sunday. Are you losing hours by procrastinating your minutes? So as you know, first of all, happy Sunday. Hopefully you're having a wonderful weekend. As you know, we have an app, which is amazing. It's called Optimal. It's a habit tracking app, which helps you focus on the right things, make sure you're making progress, and then you also focus on a 1% win and a 1% improvement. So most important win, most important improvement. It seems very simple to go into this app once a day and just update it. And just say, well, I did my 9 habits. Green light, green light, green light, red light, didn't do it, green light, green light. What's my most important win? What's my most important improvement? Number of days tracked, boom. Simple. Takes all of 30 seconds. But when that 30 seconds doesn't get done on Monday, and that 30 seconds doesn't get done on Tuesday, and it doesn't get done on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and you're 7 to 14 days behind, depending on what's going on behind the scenes, that thing that takes you 30 seconds every day takes you a half hour, 45 minutes to do on the day that you catch up to it. So that happened to me recently, Alan. I was like 2 weeks behind, and I was like, oh my God, no. And then it's like, I don't have time to do this today. I can't spend a half hour updating this. And so Alan and I track more habits than we put in the app. That's just what we have in the app, right? So like you have 26 habits or 27 habits. I have 23 or 24. So I'm tracking my habits outside of the app. The app, us putting it in there, is to make sure that we're being consistent and leading by example so everybody else can be consistent. And it's like, well, I'm already doing all these other habits. Whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. And then you get to the point where you're 2 or 3 weeks behind and it takes you a half hour, 45 minutes to do. And I'm quite literally spending an hour doing something that would normally take me 30 seconds. And that was the inspiration for this episode is, where are you doing that too? Where are you stepping over something that is so easy to do in the moment that's going to come back to bite you in the butt later? I've told this story before. It's been a while though. When I used to live with my buddy Matt, he was very focused on improving his home. So he had a 2-family home. So first floor, second floor. And he knew that he wasn't going to live there forever. He knew that was going to be an income property at some point, and we would fix it up together. I helped him do a lot of the remodeling and the tiling and a lot of that stuff. And he said, I got to put a new light on the front of the house. This porch light sucks. We need a new one. This one's ugly. It's broken. It doesn't work. We need a new one. So he bought a new light. And we Googled it, and we said, how long is this going to take us? And it was like, let's play Call of Duty instead. Let's just hang out and play Call of Duty. And we would say at the beginning of like Friday, we would say, hey man, this weekend we're going to do it. We're just going to bust it out. We're going to do it. Whatever it takes, we're going to do it. And we kept putting it off. Conscious thought, should we do it this weekend? Well, it's kind of cold out. Maybe it'll be warmer next weekend. Well, it's kind of raining, even though it's a covered porch.
Plus the sticks are calling, son.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
What are you going to do? So not only is it the potential time that it's going to take you, but it's also the conscious energy of thinking, I should do this, but I'm not going to. I should do this, but I'm not going to. I should do this, but I know, I should do this, and I know if I don't do this now, it's actually going to be worse when I go to do it. So we put this light off for probably 2 months, 3 months. It took us 10 minutes. It was unreasonably easy, like the easiest thing ever of all time. We were so surprised at how easy it was, but we waited that much time to do it. In retrospect, how many other things could we have gotten done if we just did that? So that's my question for you in this episode is, where are you wasting where are you losing hours in the future by procrastinating your minutes now? That is what I did. And I did the same thing today, Alan. I had to catch up on a week's worth of optimal updates. And it took me probably 10 minutes. Something that normally takes 30 seconds took me 10 minutes. And the interesting thing too is it's one of those things where I always use the example of when somebody texts you and you don't respond. And it's been like too long to respond, and it's like I can't respond to this message now because I'm going to look like an ass. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse before eventually the pain is great enough and you send that message and say, "Hey, my bad." my bad. Yeah. So that's this episode. Why is my light so bright, man?
So one of the things that I think is fascinating, let's use the example of Kevin with Matt and the light. So how much time and effort did you two invest in thinking about it, talking about it, even if it was a couple minutes per weekend?
Way more.
For 3 months, right? So I often talk about the 3 human resources we all have. Very, very simple. You have time, you have effort, and you have money. And that is the only 3 main resources that you really have. And how you get those 3 resources is a whole other conversation. But where you're investing your time, your effort, and your money is going to determine the quality of your future. And how much time and effort are we investing thinking about, talking about, contemplating how to do something or whatever before we just jump in? And I think there's an optimal stopping problem. An optimal stopping problem, for those of you who are new listeners, is you're going to a concert. And when do you park? The closer you get to the concert, the less likely there's a spot available. But when the spots are fully empty because you're so far from the venue, there's tons of spots. When do you park? That's an optimal stopping problem. It's kind of like Goldilocks, too hot or too cold, or too big or too small. How do you know when it's time to take the action versus the strategy? People who are very effective strategize and contemplate the right approach of the light in this analogy, the how to do the light, Google it, whatever, and then they take the action. And then they realize, okay, what we thought was going to work didn't work. And then you innovate and you evolve. We used to talk about this all the time, Kevin. I think it's because we were in that phase of our journey. Remember when we used to talk on the Hyperconscious podcast all those years ago? We used to always say, you got to put in the reps. You got to put in the reps. You got to put in the reps. I think part of it is because we were both very focused on fitness back then.
Yeah.
And I was a fitness coach and stuff. So, but I think about that all the time. You cannot achieve something if you're not putting in the reps. And if you're constantly procrastinating, you're not going to make any progress. And I think that what's important to understand here, there's no one on earth who doesn't procrastinate. And I say that from data because I coach people all over the world. So now I have enough behind the scenes from all different countries and backgrounds and cultures that it's just very clear. Okay, everyone procrastinates. That's 100% true, by the way. Even the people who pretend they don't. It's just a different percentage for everybody. So I procrastinate. Kevin procrastinates. We talked about 2021 taxes, getting an extension, all of that. The question is, what are you procrastinating? How often are you procrastinating, and for how long? And can you shrink how long you procrastinate? How quickly can you go from idea to action? Because all of us right now, if you think about it, and this is kind of game theory, I'm reading a book on game theory right now. Everyone watching or listening to this, you have millions of options with what to do right now. You have millions of podcasts you could have chosen other than NLU. There's 3 million podcasts in existence?
Yeah,
something like that. Okay, you can eat anything today, not anything, but okay, how many stores could you go to today if you want to go shopping? Okay, how many gas stations could you go to and convenience stores? How many snacks could you get at those convenience stores? How many projects could you do on your home or your apartment right now? How many shows on Netflix could you watch if you wanted? How many games could you play on your phone? How many people could you text? Too many options will make a tyrant of us all, or be a tyrant on all of us. Too many options. This is why people don't understand this necessarily. I certainly didn't when I was younger. Having really big goals actually frees you from all the overwhelm of too many choices. For Kevin and I, when the podcast is the most important priority, there isn't really an option. It's just kind of like, okay, we're going to do this today. No matter what else comes up, we're doing this today. So it eliminates some overwhelm in some ways. And so when you find yourself procrastinating, usually you're avoiding something that's uncomfortable, something that is difficult feedback, something that you have past pain or trauma with. What's a good example of this? Yeah, I'll use this story. So after my car accident at 26, I talk about how I kept getting pulled over because I was too far on the right side of the road, because double yellow lines scared me, because when I got in the car accident, I was on the wrong side of the road. And so I overcorrected literally and figuratively by staying too far on my side. So I kept getting pulled over, and I also kept popping my tires. And so I'd get pulled over and I'd say, I'm sorry, I got in a bad car accident like a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry, you're right. I need to find a way to stay in the center of the road again. It was really hard for me to get back on the road, honestly. So I avoided the double yellow lines because they scared me. So we're all avoiding things we're afraid of. So if you find yourself procrastinating, what is it that you're afraid of? Why are you procrastinating? And can you just jump in? There's a thing here. Like, all of you, if you want to be more successful, there is no version of you being really, really, really successful without like finding a way to just do what you don't want to do. And we talk about this a lot on the podcast, Heart Driven But No BS. Kev, last night, even Emilia and I have a new house rule, like always put the dishes in the dishwasher after we're done with them, because they pile up, just like the app. It piles up, it piles up, it piles up. And last night, the dishwasher was full of clean dishes, okay? And Tucker got hurt yesterday, so it was a whole day, monthly meetup, 23 people there, all this stuff. Long day, right? So the last thing I want to do at 10:30 at night is empty the clean dishes from the dishwasher and then take the dishes from the sink and then put them into the newly emptied dishwasher. I did. I ended up hammering, Kev. I ended up taking one of our big bowls and trying to stack it on one of the other bowls. I hammered it into one of the bowls, chipped the whole side of it.
Oh, no.
Because I was just cooked. I was just exhausted. But in the past, I would have procrastinated that. But then Emilia said, like, honestly, we got to stay ahead of this thing. Because what should take a minute and a half ends up taking 20 minutes on the weekend or whatever, right? So whether it's laundry or dishes or emails or texts or WhatsApp, or you have to take messy action constantly on the day-to-day. It's pain in the moment for a brighter future versus regret later. The discipline today or the regret later, it really is a fundamental principle. And I always am thinking to myself, like, this will be the last thing I'll say. I'm always thinking about this. So we have this little recycling bin outside. So in our 2-car garage, we open the door and there's a little recycling bin right to the left. So we keep our recycling on this little side table near this door, and every time it piles up, I take it and I put it into the little recycling bin. Then we have a bigger recycling bin on the other side of the garage. And whenever the little recycling bin is almost to the top, there's that moment of like, should I empty it now and put it into the big one? Or what if I just let it pile up, right? And I have this moment with myself. There's no one on earth who doesn't. I have this moment with myself where I'm like, okay, I can let it ride, or I can do something that my future self will thank me for. And I would say 80% of the time do something that my future self would thank me for. And that's really difficult because we have so much going on and so many choices. So you're not alone. You just have to get better at this. And the better and better and better and better you get at this, and that's an infinite game, the more fulfilled I really think you'll be. That's been the case for me.
I absolutely love book club. It is my favorite way to start the weekend. We talk about the chapter that we read previously, and it made a big difference in my life and the beginning of my journey of self-development. And it is a very kind and welcoming community, and it's a great space where if you want to just sit and listen, you're able to, but there's also a lot of space for discussion and questions. I have nothing but good things to say about book club.
I told you this the other day. Alan and I, so Monday night, we were working late. We worked late. And sometimes when we work late and it's like, hey, we're going to be working till midnight, we'll get food separately. So I got some burgers. And I got pulled over on the ride home. And I texted Alan. I said, hey, man, I got pulled over. I'll be home in a few minutes. So I got pulled over because I didn't have, my car's not inspected. So my inspections, expired. And it was supposed to get done in August. It's now October, and
we are winning, aren't we?
Yeah,
a couple cred hits here on this
yeah.
episode.
But I think it's important.
It is.
So I knew it had expired, but Taryn and I went to Vermont. So it was like, I mean, I'm not going to be able to do it before Vermont. It's not going to happen. I can't. So it was like, whatever. I'll just wing it and drive it up to Vermont. Then when we get home, it's like, well, it's Sunday, so I can't do it on Sunday. Monday's Monday. Monday, it's literally all day. I didn't know what time the place opened. There was a lot of stuff going on. So I end up getting pulled over, which is the extra necessity I need to get it done. Awesome. I go yesterday. I drop my car off. It's like right down the street, so I walk home. I'm listening to whatever book you suggested. And I get a call like a couple hours later, and they said, hey, your car's good to go. It passes for inspection and all that. Unfortunately, you need a new registration. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, your registration expired. You need a new registration. And I said, don't they just like mail that to you? And they're like, no, you have to do it. And I was like, oh, damn. I said, are you sure? Because I got pulled over the other day and the cop didn't say anything. He didn't say anything at all. He was just like, the cop pulled me over and he said, any reason you're
focused on the contraband.
The Five Guys burgers and fries.
Yeah, the Five Guys burgers.
Any reason your car is not inspected? And I just looked at him square in the eye and I said, mm-mm. He's like, nothing. And I said, no, I'm just an idiot. Like I'm jeffing basically is what I told him. And he just looked at me. He's like, okay. So then he walks back to his car and he runs my information. He comes back. He's like, all right, man, I'm going to give you a warning because you were so honest. And he's like, not everybody's that honest. And I said, what am I going to do? Lie to you? And yeah, I'm headed there right now at 9:00. I know a guy.
I'm headed there
so
right now. I know.
He was very nice and I appreciated that. But the first thing he said was, have you gotten any warnings about this? And I said, no, I didn't get any warnings about this. This is literally, I know this. I know better than what I'm doing. I do.
You think I don't know that?
You think I don't know that? So it was good. It was a good experience. But so now my car is at the shop. I don't have my car because I'm not going to walk over there to get it to drive to town hall without an inspection sticker to get my registration so I can drive back to get an inspection sticker. So I went online yesterday or last night. I paid for it virtually over the internet. I got to call them now and say, hey, I don't have the exact copy, but can I just like send you the confirmation that I have the registration? If not, I got to wait like 5 days. So I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. If I just took care of this when it was, timely, maybe all of this would have happened, but at least I'd be ahead of schedule. I wouldn't be where I'm at now in this absolutely nuts week having to juggle this as well. So that's another lesson for this topic.
I had a moment when you were getting pulled over. It's like, hey, you like podcasts?
Next level you, son.
Next level you.
He was very nice.
You know who I am?
He was very nice.
Yeah, of course.
It's like,
of course.
You got me.
You can play now and pay later, or you can pay now and play later, and that is just a fundamental, right? And don't get me wrong, everyone is doing both. It's just a percentage. So is it 80% pay now and play later? In other words, do the hard thing now, and 20% the opposite, or is it 20% pay now, play later, and 80% pay now, play later, or play now, pay later? Okay, here's what it is. All right, ready? You have a credit card. Everyone can relate to this. You have a credit card with a new $20,000 limit, and you just start spending money you don't have, right?
Been there.
Okay. You can pay now, or play now and spend the money, and then pay later. I know. Or you can make sure you pay that off every single month and make sure you're disciplined with it, right? And so everything that you're procrastinating is going to come to bite you. And the question is, how often are you doing things that your future self will thank you for? I think and no one's perfect on this, so do not feel like you're the only one who procrastinates. I think that's part of the problem.
Well, that's why I wanted to tell that story. It's like, I'm not going to say, hey, you need to be, we all need to be better, myself included. Right. I got pulled over and I'm lucky I don't know what the ticket would have been, but I'm very lucky I didn't get a ticket for not having my registration and my inspection were both. I think you can get your car like impounded for having an expired registration. So I'm very lucky, but that's on me.
Kev, I know we got to go here. Can you talk to me a little bit about, I want to talk about this industry for a second. The self-help industry, self-improvement, personal development, all that kind of thing. One of the things that I always was frustrated by. So 8 years ago, I found personal development and I went all in. I mean, I listened to every speaker, Les Brown and Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and Oprah and Eric Thomas. I just studied the whole industry, and that's what I do. I go macro and then I go micro. And then I found the few people who really resonate, and then I stuck with them. It always kind of bothered me that these people would say these things, but yet I kind of knew that they weren't doing those things. As particularly, and again, I don't want to be unkind to anybody, but particularly the people that are like talking about self-discipline so dogmatically, like yelling into the microphone, like you're disciplined, but yet they're like out of shape. It never landed for me. And so Kevin and I really don't want to be that. We don't want you to think like Eric Thomas is super disciplined like all the time with everything. It's like, no one is with everything, right? Yeah. Everyone hates the Stairmaster equally. Nobody loves kale, and if they do, they've convinced themselves of that, and trust me, they would prefer ice cream. It's just one of those things that's like, we kind of have to just embrace it. Like, okay, we love ice cream as human beings. That's great. We love pizza as human beings. That's great. But that's not necessarily the better choice. Versus like, oh yeah, I just love working out every day, and I just like love kale, and I just love salads so much better than burgers and fries. I just don't think that's real. It's not even helpful. It's honestly not even helpful, because we all know we should be eating more kale and less burgers and fries, but it's not practical to kid yourself into thinking that that's realistic, when in reality, that's the only area of that person's life that actually is dialed in. And then when you get behind the scenes, you realize the rest is a mess. So what if someone's studying the industry like I did, learning from all these people, and then cherry picking the genius zone of each of these people? So when I was a fitness coach, fitness competitor, fitness model, and you compare yourself to me in fitness, what if that's my whole life? I'm not successful in the other areas nearly to that same extent, and then you presuppose that I have something you don't. When in reality, that's the one area I'm talking about, because that's the one area I'm unbelievably good in, because that's the only area I'm good in. And so it causes this problem, and I want to be transparent with our community always. Like, that's why we talk about holistic, because there's no one I know who isn't jeffing some area of their life. No one. Because at all times, there's an incremental leveling up of these health, wealth, and love facets. Some people are super wealthy but not healthy. Some people are super healthy but definitely not wealthy. Some people are healthy and wealthy, but their relationship is terrible. And very few people have all three. And Kevin and I want to have all three, but we're talking all the time about where we're jeffing when we're focused on the other ones. And I think that gives people permission to finally just go, okay, life is messy. I'm never going to be perfect. None of these other people are either. Let me just get a little better. Let me just get a little better and a little better and a little better. And I think there's something empowering about that.
It depends on where the person's trying. It depends on, number one, it depends on what they're trying to do. Are they trying to guide, or are they trying to teach? If you're trying to teach, it suggests that you've already mastered it. If you're trying to guide, it does kind of suggest that you're in the journey with the person. And I think that's one of the things. My ultimate goal is to help people level up all parts, but that also means I'm going to be jeffing all parts. My fitness has, I mean, it's not garbage, but it's not what it was. I haven't gone to the gym. I went to the gym yesterday for the first time in like 2 weeks. I haven't been living as holistically as I want, because the business has taken more of me than it ever has, which is great, right? So that's the other understanding too. If you ever hear us talk about, I joke often about like, hey, I'm jeffing my fitness and this. I'm always thinking of, how do I improve that? Like the whole entire time I wasn't in the gym, I was thinking like, how do I get back to the gym? Or right now, this is a small, short season of me doing this. I'm going to go grind out everything else, and in a couple weeks, I'll make sure I get back to the gym. Not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world for me. But it's always with the understanding that in the very near future, I'm going to get my S together when it comes to this. Now my light's weird.
It's a little bit bright. You're washed out a little bit.
You know what? It is. StreamYard, I had to like re-log in, and I think when you do that, it relogs all your, forgets all your other settings.
Oh, gotcha.
So I don't know if
last
that's
thing I'll
something.
say, I know we'll go. I got to put another $1 in the jar. I keep saying that. Emilia and I were talking about this last night. I have not gone to the actual gym and done weight training for 5 days in a row. Maybe 6, 5 or 6. Now, I've exercised every day, but it's really walks with Tucker. It's been a long week. And I told Emilia, I said, honestly, I think this is the longest I've gone without any weight training in 8 years. It feels very weird for me. But the truth of the matter is the business is succeeding more than it ever has.
Yeah.
But our fitness, it's a struggle. It's not easy, right? And I'm 220 days in a row of exercise, but a 30-minute walk with Tucker counts. You know what I mean? If it was 2 hours or an hour and a half in the gym, or I have to always be at the gym, there's no way. There's no way. So you're not alone. And everyone procrastinates. The question is, are you procrastinating a little less than you used to? That's really what it is. Are you getting better at this? So everyone does their best. Not everyone betters their best. Hopefully you can better your best by realizing that don't listen to what social media says about how everyone's crushing it. Maybe they're crushing it in that one narrow space, and maybe they are crushing it in comparison to you. Maybe they are ahead of you, but at the end of the day, they got there through a lot of incremental small improvements that no one ever saw.
Next level nation, we have the best family in the world. I know Alan's going to talk about next month's meetup. We had this month's meetup last night as of recording this, and I said we have the best family in the world, the best NLU family, the best community in the world. If you are a part of the community and you want to potentially make a quick, free $100, please just click the link in our show notes, leave us a review on your platform of choice, and we will enter you into a drawing to win the $100 Amazon gift card. Just send me a screenshot of it so I know who you are. Not everybody's names are like on Apple exactly, understanding for me. It might just be, I know somebody left us a review. It was like Hungry Horsey back in the day. It's like, I don't know who this person is. I have no idea who this is. I have no idea of finding out who this person is. So just screenshot it and send it to us. That way, at least we can enter you in.
If you find them on Instagram at Hungry Horsey,
I remember we were searching, and there was people that I was like, I have no idea what XQ question mark TRS is. I don't know who that person is.
Was that back in the SoundCloud days?
That was back in the SoundCloud days. Yeah.
All right. So the next monthly meetup. So we just completed our 10th month in a row of the monthly meetups, which is really quite cool. We started on January of 2022, so 10 months in a row now. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, this will hit 12. December will be the 12th.
Nice.
So a full year will be in December, yeah. So this next one is how to find your unique genius zone. We did an episode recently on genius zone, and we realized, oh my goodness, this is like very in-depth. And obviously on the podcast, we can't go as deep as a private session for a full hour. It's more like a training. So come to these monthly meetups. Last night we had 23 people registered. We had 17 people in the room. A lot of them kept their camera and their microphone off. You do not have to participate, but the chat was on fire. I think we had like 120 messages or something. So join us. How to find your own unique genius zone. Remember, there's a million options of what to do with your life, technically infinite, assuming you live in a free country, of course. And how do you know what to do? How do you know what your maximum potential is? How do you know what your greatest level of contribution is? How do you know what career path to choose? Knowing your genius zone is going to help you with that tremendously.
Next level nation, tomorrow for episode number 1120. How aligned is your grind? I don't know where this came from, but I think, oh no, I do. I got a very good story for this and how it applies to you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. As always, at NLU, we do not have fans, we have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.